Good morning, friends. It's another Friday. We've made it to the end of another week. Meredith is out today. I'm Rebecca Semenes. Meredith's on the East Coast fighting RFK Jr. to keep our Duncan. But instead, we have our pal, our very favorite, Tracy E Gilchrist is in the house. As a reminder, Tracy is the host and executive producer of the show Holding Space. You know her, you love her from the internet. She was before that the editor-in-chief of The Advocate. She's a media veteran. She covers the intersection of LGBTQ equality and pop culture. And she's here with us today. Tracy, yes. Good morning.
Hi, thank you for having me today. I apologize. I was up late. I sound a little bit like B. Arthur today, so I apologize.
Sexy. Tell the people why you were up late last night, because for me, I was just up late having insomnia, but you were up late.
Oh, well, I had that too after, but I was at the GLAAD Awards. We did some red carpet interviews, live streamed that. Then I was at the event, and then there was like a little after thing. And, I actually got home by 1. Everyone tried to pull me into I avoided the Abbey. I actually met somebody who was flirting with me that I was like, no, I got to be on a podcast in the morning.
Oh, wow. That is like, wow, so demure. So she's so hard to get. Oh my goodness.
I know. I played hard to get for you, Rebecca.
I am honored, because Lord knows if anybody had been flirting with me last night, I would have texted you and been like, sorry, Tracy, can't make it tomorrow. Bye.
And you do it.
You do it. Enjoy the show. The moment belongs to you now. I'm getting action.
Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of getting action, we're gonna talk about Kristi Noem, who's been questioned about her action. Kristi Noem, the bird-legged hoe, is out at DHS. Mullen is in. We're going to talk a little bit about how that went down. We're going to talk a little bit more about the Epstein files. Testimony of Bill Clinton came out this week, and now Pam Bondi is going to have to testify. And so I'm curious, now that Kristi Noem got fired, how that's going to play out. We're going to briefly talk about a Supreme Court ruling that's going to affect trans and non-binary kids. And then I want to get a little tea about the GLAAD Awards. And then we're going to have a conversation with Zoya Biglary, who is a Persian-American voice. She does cooking and talks about queer identity. And she is going to tell us a little bit about what it's like to be in the Iranian diaspora as we go to another war in the Middle East. So here we are. Yeah. It never ends. It's Friday.
I know. I mean, and it's still only March. We've got a lot of months to go in this year.
It's only March and it's only 2026. You know what I mean? I was out with some friends last night and somebody said, basically, do you think we're going to get out of this thing? And I said, yes, I do, but not before there's a death rattle. I think right. They're going to cling to this to the absolute end. But let's talk about what happened yesterday, because this was actually kind of a little bit of a win, so to speak. So Kristi Noem, who was the head of the Department of Homeland Security, you saw her Ice Barbie. She was out there with the vests and the guns and oh, hi Meredith, we miss you too.
Hi Meredith.
Truth Social Post, my favorite. Donald Trump essentially fired her and brought in Oklahoma Senator Mark Wayne Mullen, which is the ultimate Southern name I've ever heard. Yeah. So this came after a very rocky congressional hearing this week where she was questioned about her overseeing of ICE, spending on jets, and her alleged relationship with a Trump advisor, Corey Lewandowski. She would have canceled on us to flirt with somebody.
Yeah, so, well, maybe she's better than I am in that regard.
I know, she can pull. By the way, Meredith is in an airport right now and tells us that she is still on TSA screens. So we'll see if Mark Wayne has a similar thing. I want to play a clip, though, of a California representative asking Kristi Noem about her relationship with Corey Lewandowski, because it blew my mind a little bit. Vienna, do we have that clip?
So, Secretary Noem, at any time during your tenure as Director of Department of Homeland Security, have you had sexual relations with Corey Lewandowski?
Mr. Chairman, I am shocked that we're going down and peddling tabloid garbage in this committee today.
Reclaiming
and ma'am, one thing that I would tell you is that he is a special government employee who works for the White House. There are thousands of them in the federal
So
government.
reclaiming
and
my
as an
time,
advisor,
Secretary, it is
and has
okay for
no-
you to be
no
offended
authority
by
to
the
be
question.
making any
It is
decisions,
okay for you to
has
be
no
offended
authority
by the
to be
question.
making
But it is
decisions
also
and
a
putting
real
in
question.
positions. So what I would say
And
to
you should be able to
is
answer
that
the
what we do at the
question
Department of Homeland Security
clearly.
every
All
single
right,
without
day,
we get it.
hesitation.
We get it.
single
Then
day
we
is
can
to
pull it
protect
down now. Okay. Did you notice that not once does she say, no, I am not having an affair with Trump advisor Corey Lewandowski?
Yes, exactly.
Like, that's I was like, you could
She did
no.
was
Like, you could say no. I also thought it was very funny that she was like these tabloid stories, and I was like, you mean the Wall Street Journal? Like, the
right.
Wall
It's
Street Journal reported this.
more fake news. And what's interesting to me too is it's not okay for them to talk about Kristi Noem, but the entire Republican Party was in on Kamala Harris's dating life
That's so true.
in 2024. So it's I always say this, the entire Republican Party's strategy is, I know you are, but what am I? Like, it's a child's, it's if
Yeah.
you're on the playground, like, I know you are, but what am I?
Yeah. Also, her husband, by the way, was in that room. Kristi Noem is a married woman who seems to be having an affair. I was listening to actually somebody who won at the GLAAD Awards last night, the I've Had It podcast.
Jennifer Welch.
Jennifer Welch. And I was listening to her, and she was saying how evangelicals are so sort of primed to forgive these like bizarro indiscretions that you would think, like you would think adultery would be offensive to people who are like, and she's like, they just forgive it because their pastors do this,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and also, they just have a couple of things that they actually give a damn about. And I don't think adultery is one of them at the end of the day. I mean, they really only care about
controlling your body.
Pretend to care about bodily autonomy, because I'm sure if it happens to some of them, they're off to a secret.
Yeah.
And then, of course, trans people. So, because those are the scapegoats, just to get the heat off of them.
Totally.
But
Yeah.
I don't think they actually care about anything.
Yeah. It's like a simple narrative. I have a question as like a pop culture person. Kristi Noem was such like a visible force in the administration, like Ice Barbie. She would like cosplay all of these things. As Meredith just said, like she, part of the reason why I think she was ultimately fired is because she had been paying for these commercials and said that Trump was in on it and Trump hated that. What do you think?
Well, because he's got to be the center.
He's got to be you cannot come for the king. Like that is just simply, it is not. There's a lot of things you can do, but come for Trump or ask for him to have your back is, impossible. But, I think that a lot of what I've heard JD Vance say this, I've heard Trump say this, I've even heard Megyn Kelly say this, that they're like, oh, we have an optics problem for Republicans. We're doing great. We just have an optics problem. And now, Kristi Noem is out. Mark Wayne Mullen is in. Do you think that they're going to like revamp the image around this guy? Or like, do you think they'll take the time to like revamp it?
I mean, it's hard to say. I think ICE is going to continue to be placed in cities and terrorize Americans. I think it will be a little different approach, because you have Kristi Noem, who has the way she looks, her visible attributes. I'm like,
did her face explode when she found out?
And it's funny to me, these conservative women who are in the media, or you have to speak, they all have this like really low voice that they use. And I mean, my voice is not high, but I can't get down there. So I think they're trying to feign toughness. And it's cosplay, like you mentioned that. I think this guy will probably, I don't know, I don't know him. He'll probably end up being more like a rodeo cowboy, Pete Hegseth.
That's true. That's true.
Very masculine.
Very, very masculine. So Republicans do have the vote to swear him in. John Fetterman is, likely, like there may be some Democrats who join in the, oh wow, look at that cowboy hat.
Oh, look at I honestly, I had never seen a picture. I just went off his name.
Yeah, he looks exactly what he sounds like. He, not that you have to have a college degree, but he is in fact a college dropout. And so for the amount of people that spend time calling AOC a bartender, and this gentleman actually did fail out of college is, wild. Who gets called, who gets tagged with being working class as a pejorative is interesting.
Right. Just women of color.
Just women of color. Yeah. Just women of color who have something to say,
Yes.
So it seems likely that he will sail right in. But interestingly, as a reminder, everybody's like, we still, like, the Democrats and Republicans are still fighting over DHS funding, which Chuck Schumer, for better or for worse, says that that won't change now that Kristi Noem is out. They're still fighting for reforms over ICE. So we'll see about that. And then
at least they're fighting for something.
Yeah, I mean, I know that was actually, like, not to go on a little rant, but Rosa, before we got on, Tracy and I bonded over the fact that we're both from Connecticut, and Rosa DeLauro, who's been the representative of my district since I was 2 years old, voted to fund DHS. She was one of the 21 Democrats and I was like rip shit angry, like, come on, Rosa DeLauro, like, we have so little.
It's interesting. Connecticut's a blue state, but there are pockets, and like you encounter people there that's very strange.
Big time. I actually, during the 2024 election, happened to be home. I voted absentee, but I was home, and both the days leading up to and during the actual day of election. And I, like, the amount of Trump signs that I saw out there, and I saw a man with the Trump shirt where he's like, the fight, fight, fight shirt. And I was like, if in, like, not in the city, New Haven, where I grew up, is like very, very blue, but it was in the surrounding areas that I was like, oh, this is happening. If in Connecticut.
Some of those old factory towns, because my hometown of Plainville is very, very red. I'm like, I can't believe I grew up there.
It's like working
not as gay as I did.
I think that people in Connecticut also feel, I've always said this about Connecticut, because it has this reputation of being like this ultra wealthy state. But I actually think that it's like a deeply segregated state, both by class and by race. And so there's also very, very high taxes. And so you have extremely, extremely wealthy people that like build the reputation of the state and like the taxes of the state. And then underneath that is a very forgotten working class group of people.
Working class. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
People think that I'm wealthy because I'm from Connecticut. I'm like, I'm not from that part.
I know. I'm like, well, that, and anytime you meet a Yale, I'm from New Haven. Anytime you meet a Yaley, they're like, oh, I only hung up on the Yale campus. And I'm like, you don't have to tell me that. Like, I know, like, we know that you don't want to hang out in New Haven, so. I just, before we move on to the next story, I just want to throw out J.B. Pritzker, the governor from Illinois, released this video about Kristi Noem that I thought was sort of interesting. Like, Vienna, I just want to play
Kristi Noem, don't let the door hit you on the way out. Here's your legacy: corruption and chaos, parents and children tear-gassed, moms and nurses, U.S. citizens getting shot in the face. Now that you're gone, don't think you get to just walk away. I guarantee you, you will still be held accountable.
I just said, yeah. Okay. What did you think? I want to see what you thought of this.
Well, it sounds like a threat, and like they're going to try to prosecute Kristi Noem. I mean,
I think, like, I thought that, and I also was like, I think, J.B. Pritzker is clearly one of the names that's been brought up about somebody who's probably going to run for president, and I do think it signifies that, like, Democrats are gonna want the revenge narrative a little bit for themselves, that they're like, part of the strategy going forward will be the nobody can get away with this. And like, who knows whether we'll actually ever see accountability. I sort of tend to doubt it, but I did think it was interesting that he was like, you don't get to just leave this and dip out.
I mean, I hope they I do hope they hold people accountable. I'm a little frustrated that it's happening after all the horrific acts that Americans have endured. I wish that they had been stronger out of the gate and
Mhm.
really held a line, but I hope they hold people accountable. I did want to point out, I think Vienna noted this, and I was going to say this. I think it's really interesting because we're seeing this with the Trump administration now. These white women who stump for Trump and for all their men will be the first ones taken down.
Totally. Yes.
I mean, they're just on every level, they're just screwing themselves.
They're just screwing themselves. I know this was something that I noticed too. Before we move on to Pam Bondi, somebody else who screwed themselves is Elise Stefanik, who put her whole reputation behind Trump. She was also running for governor, I believe. And her whole platform was like, I'm going to go after Mamdani. And then Trump fell in love with Mamdani and was like, sorry, babe. And now she like basically doesn't have a career. And something that I feel like delighted with the people like Kristi Noem and other people who might be held accountable at the end of this is they're never going to get another administration job. Like part of the reason they got this job was because of their fealty to Trump, and they're never going to be able to escape that. And like Kash Patel would never otherwise get to be the head of the FBI under any other administration, you know?
No, they've kissed the ring and here they are.
And here they are. And here they are. Before we bring in our guest, which we're so excited about, I do want to talk about, so Attorney General Pam Bondi is about to face a similar scrutiny. She's going to have to answer for how she released the Epstein files. She's been subpoenaed to Congress. Representative James Comer, who is the person who subpoenaed the Clintons, objected to this subpoena, but it was overruled. And then meanwhile, the House Oversight has started to release the testimony of the Clintons in connection to the Epstein files. And I did get the creeps with this clip of Bill Clinton. So I just wanted to play it and talk a little bit about it really quick.
Yeah.
Point, did you or other male passengers receive a massage from this young woman or any other young women who are described as a masseuse?
Well, I've seen one picture that shows that in a airport waiting area, one of the women was massaging my neck. That's all I've seen.
Have you received more than one massage from these trips with Mr. Epstein and the young girls that were present?
I don't recall them, but the problem I remember from that trip was that my neck had spasmed and so they offered to help and I let them help. One left.
She asked whether or not you recalled any other massage.
No, I do not.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just, like we got big fish to fry with Trump, but like I really am like, I want all these people to be accountable.
No. Anybody involved. And I've never been a Bill fan. I mean, listen, I voted for him back in the day after 8 years of Reagan and then, Bush Sr. Sure, I voted for him. I had a lot of hope that things would change and, certain things were good under him. But, Monica Lewinsky happened and I was on Monica's side the entire time.
Good for you. You were ahead of your time because I was younger. And I remember my parents being like, that Monica, like they were.
Oh, yeah. Like she lured him, like the way that people blamed her. She was 21 years old with the most powerful man in the world.
Easy. I know now that I'm an adult, I'm like, I don't know what I would have done in that. I know what I would have done in that situation, which is exactly what she did. Or like peed myself probably, more likely.
Yeah.
I would just be scared shitless.
But I mean, the conservatives at that time, the Republicans were hypocritical about that. There was all kinds of garbage going on in the Republican Party at the time. So did I think that he needed to be impeached over that? I wasn't exactly sure about that.
Especially now that it's like Trump, like what are we even impeaching people for these days?
Right.
Everything is an impeachable offense.
So, I mean, it changed my opinion about him for sure. And it bums me out because I think Hillary is very, very smart intelligent woman. And I like her. I want to root for her. And I read her book after the 2016 election.
Uh-huh.
And I was always like, is this a marriage of convenience? Is it just a political marriage? She loves him. She loves the guy. I don't know. I can't,
Yeah.
as a lesbian, I'm like, I don't see
I
it.
don't know. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't get it.
I don't get
But,
it.
yeah.
I know. I said this on the show last week, but I'll repeat it. Is I think it was a mistake. Like, I genuinely believe that Hillary Clinton knew and had nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein. And I genuinely believe that Bill Clinton did. And so it's so interesting that they put them both on the stand day after day in sort of like equal measure, as if they were the same person. And so I think it both absolves him and makes her more guilty. You know, like, I saw this clip and I was like, yeah, this is gross. And I also wonder, do you think like he's actually that feeble, or whether he's playing it up to the cameras a little bit and being like, I'm just an old man?
I don't, that's a good question, because when I saw the clips of him, I thought, ooh.
Yeah, me too. I was like, oh boy.
When he tried to pick up the glass.
Mhm.
So I do think he's got something medical that is happening. I mean, he is an old man, right?
Yeah,
He's
they're
really
all
old.
old men. Yeah. Yeah, he's an old man.
Yeah. Well, he's 79. All right.
Wow, is our president, he's the same age as our current president.
Yes.
So, yeah.
I mean, Bill Clinton was just a wee thing when he was in office,
That's right.
comparatively.
I know. It's so weird. It's so
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah, he seems
yeah, go ahead.
doddering, but I don't know. It feels kind of real to me.
Yeah, I don't know. My last question before we bring in Zoya is, do you think that Pam Bondi will face the same fate as Kristi Noem? You know, like, Kristi Noem went into these hearings and came out of these hearings without a job. Do you think that Pam Bondi is going to have a similar fate?
I think it's highly likely. I mean, she really botched a couple of weeks ago with, she got attacked and I think she made the Trump administration look weak.
I agree.
With the way she handled herself, and he hates that.
Yeah.
And, and just going back to this, I think the administration sets, especially these, I'm just going to say, dumbass white women.
Yeah.
Who fall for their, want to ride the stars of these white men into heaven or wherever they think they're going. And they're going to be the first ones pushed out every time. And they keep doing it.
Yeah.
So I absolutely think Pam Bondi is on that same
Is on
vehicle.
the chopping block. Couldn't be us. Couldn't be us.
You know what? And it couldn't happen to a nicer person.
Yeah, right. God bless. Bless your heart. I want to bring in our guest, who is not dumb and out on a ledge. We have with us Zoya Biglary. Zoya is an entrepreneur. She's an advocate, a first-generation Persian-American, and one of the few openly gay Persian public figures, which is going to make for an excellent conversation. You might know her as the internet's fruit peeler. She's a go-to creator for cooking inspiration, lifestyle content, relationship advice, business advice. And now she's here with us today to talk about what the experience is like out there right now. Zoya, welcome to The Moment.
Hi, guys. How are you?
Hey.
Good. How are you? Thank you so much for being here.
So great. Thanks for having me.
So just to remind the audience, the United States struck the nation of Iran last Saturday. I can't believe it's been less than a week, because it's upended, I'm sure, Zoya's life even more than the average American's life. In that strike, the United States took out the Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, who has been the supreme leader of Iran for 37 years and has been an oppressive regime to the people of Iran for many, many, many years. And so what we've seen in the United States, I think, is a very complicated reaction, because there's also been civilian casualties, and the United States doesn't seem to have much of a plan there and doesn't have a good historical record with regime changes. But I wanted to bring Zoya on today really to give the perspective of what it is to be first-generation Iranian in America right now and see this complication. So how you doing, Zoya? How are you doing?
No, I've been better, but I'm doing okay. It's I appreciate you bringing some attention to this. There are a massive number of people who are in my exact same shoes because this is such a nuanced situation. Obviously, anytime there's conflict with any country, it's always a lot. However, in this particular situation, it makes people like me kind of a living, breathing contradiction in a way, as an Iranian American, with my entire family being born in Iran, but I was born and raised here. And I have a deep love for the country that I was born and raised in, America, while having a deep love for the country that every single living, breathing relative of mine was born in. And the complex cherry on top, honestly, is that I'm also gay. So I have just such a really unique perspective on like a lot of and honestly, everything that I say and post online is always reminding people that people are not their government. And that is something that I'm trying so hard to drill, because as a person that grew up in America, I have seen time and time again, even with close friends of mine, that they are not exactly understanding what the people of Iran even are, who they are. They don't know anything about our country. So I'm trying so hard. I kind of call myself a cultural bridge builder, because I'm desperately trying to just have people understand that these are human beings just like you and I, and they want the same things. And we're not just, targeting random buildings and poof, there goes the problem. The real human lives are affected. And it's difficult because particularly in America, you're talking about Iranian Americans, who are a massive immigrant group and also one of the most successful immigrant groups to America. And so that matters because we are your neighbors. We are a lot of probably your dentists and doctors and everything from your chiropractors to your hairstylists. So it's a big group of people. And the Iranians here love America very much too, because this is where my parents came to. This is where a lot of them came to start a life. So there's this really interesting middle ground where a lot of us are kind of stuck in, because it's more complicated than simply, oh, we're just going in for a quick operation. And we know that, any educated person understands that. So it's really dealing with the aftermath. And I think a lot of people are in my shoes where they're really just not sure how to feel.
Yeah. What do you think? One of the things that you just said, and I saw a video of you talk about this too, is there are so many people, and I see this happen all the time with so many things, where Americans are like very quick to judge a situation based on our own history, our own understanding of ourselves. I'm going to even say especially on the left. What is it that you think that people don't understand about Iranian identity and that country's specific, like the country itself and the identity of the diaspora? Like, what do people just like not know that they're jumping into, like they are experts on, international relations?
It's hard. I can't speak for everybody, but from examples that I've seen in my own comments and direct messages, people don't even know that Iran is a large country. This is over 90 million people. So it's not just a little tiny blip on a map. It's a really big world power that we are talking about. And I think a lot of people just presume that it's tadig and kebab, which is like our famous foods with the crispy rice and kebabs, but it's really a complex culture. Like, and we've been around for so long. It literally was one of the first civilizations and one of the first charters of human rights. And before the current regime took over, it was a very open place. My parents were born and raised in a time where things were different, and they didn't have to. My mom didn't have to cover up, and it was just a very different time. And Tehran at the time really paralleled a lot of places in Europe. And I think that because most people who are around my age just remember Iran as this thing that was already the Islamic regime before they were born, they just presume it was always that way. And that's not correct. And it takes a little bit of understanding of history. And I understand that not everybody knows that. And I understand that unless you have a personal connection, why would you know that? I am understanding of that. It's not fair to ask and require every American person to know every single thing about every country. It's not. So I think it's important when it is a large group of people, though, in your country. And I'm willing to bet There are very few people who do not have an Iranian neighbor or friend or colleague. You might just not know it. We usually have really curly hair and like thick eyebrows. That's like a quick way to identify us.
I have my neighbors are Iranian, especially in LA. We have a big Iranian community.
Huge. It's actually the biggest concentration of Iranians outside of Iran.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, big Persian community here. I wanted to ask you, Zoya, would you talk a little bit more about your intersections as a queer Persian woman and sometimes some of the stereotypes that people have around those identities?
Mm-hmm. It's a pretty heavy weight, to be honest, because there are still not many openly gay Persian commentators, anything, honestly, you name it. There's very few of us. And that's unfortunate because there are so many of us behind closed doors. I know this because I have a Instagram DM box full of messages from people all over who are either in Iran or in the diaspora. It's complex. I, at this point in my life, at the age of 35, have done so much work and have tried so hard to have everybody else around me be okay with it. I actually am launching a ebook in a couple of months that literally just talks about how to navigate being gay and Middle Eastern. And it's just like a quick how-to. And I truly just wrote it because there are so many people, actual kids and actual parents of kids who are gay, who just need help and they need a little bit of guidance because to this day, it is still not really an openly discussed thing in our culture. And I'm talking specifically about Iranian culture, but this absolutely applies across the entire region of the Middle East and a lot of places. But I hit a lot of roadblocks by trying to get this information across. But at this point, I'm so proud of the work that I've done. I get stopped very often when I'm out in large Iranian groups and have people, really open up to me about how much it means. And that really makes it all worth it. But it's difficult. It's difficult to be something that people are not used to. And I think that they even initially don't want to like. And then I happen to go and get myself the most lovable American wife you've ever seen in your life. And it's just impossible not to love her. And then by, correlation, not love us. I'm a bit more serious, but she, we're just your average couple. And that's changed a lot of people's perspective. I have so many people who have messaged me telling me they came out because of me, specifically Middle Eastern people. And that means a lot because now they get to live their lives. And again, this is part of that bridge builder stuff. I'm just trying to show other people that people on the other side of the bridge, whether it's because we're gay or because we're Middle Eastern, are just like you. And it's a hard thing to do, to be quite honest, but at the same time, it's very worth it.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that.
Of course.
I like building off of that. And I'm almost just want to throw it to both of you. This is a complicated question, but I feel like this has come out a lot. There's been so many, Middle East politics has taken over a lot of American discussion over the past, I think, 3 years now. I'm half Middle Eastern, I'm Jewish. And so I feel also like a similar connection to this where I'm trying to get everybody to understand everybody and the complexities and the nuances there. But something that I hear a lot in sort of the flattened debate is on the left, there's a very free, there's the stereotype is the Free Palestine movement and it's queers for Palestine. And then on the further right, it's well, but Hamas wouldn't let you be queer. And so how could you possibly, and to throw a complicated question in both of your directions, how do you deal with that? Something that doesn't necessarily fit on the United States left-right binary. We can't impose our left-right binary on that region. I wonder how both of you think about that complexity.
Tracy, you first.
Well, I think this is one of those things where, especially on the right, they're just tossing something out that, frankly, these are the same people who in this country are taking driver's licenses away from trans people. Mm-hmm. They're the same people. And so, but when it fits their narrative, then they like to shout, well, you couldn't be queer. You couldn't do what you do there. And, that may be true on some level, but we are in this moment where it's happening in this country, not to that extent yet, but it's happening here, and these are the same people who are demonizing and scapegoating trans people, who don't want same-sex couples to be married. So I think it's just more smoke and mirrors, and it's ingenuous. But yeah, I think my answer really is like, it's happening here, and we need to open our eyes to that.
Yeah, it's an exhausting argument, honestly, because first of all, it's none of your business what I think of, what aboutism of like what an individual person. Yeah, there's people down the street. I got out of an Uber in West Hollywood because the guy told me not to kiss my girlfriend like years ago. Like, I don't need that sort of thing. I don't need you to suddenly care about my rights as a gay person, pretend that you care. Like it's a silly thing.
It's a sudden caring that
you suddenly care so much. Okay.
Yeah.
And suddenly, and honestly, frankly, that's how it feels sometimes with some of the Iran stuff, because suddenly there's a lot of this and this on either side, and you'll never really find strongly grasping onto any side of anything, because what I talk about is just the human aspect. But that's exhausting too, and it's really inappropriate, and it's also very damaging to a people who are already dealing with a lot of grief. Something about posting online is that, like, when an Iranian American, someone like me, is becoming a kind of like a primary source for people who have never met an Iranian, for example, or a gay person or whatever it is, the entire understanding of that kind of comes from us, right? Like, suddenly I'm the gay person they know, so now like all the gay info comes from me, or I'm the Persian person they know, so now everything comes from me. And that's really an enormous responsibility to carry. And I almost feel like it goes hand in hand, where it's like I'm trying to exist in my very complicated life as is, and then you kind of want to throw these things at me, and it's irresponsible. It's kind of just like a cheap shot to me.
Yeah. That sounds exhausting. It's been exhausting to hold, I think, any nuanced or complicated identity over the past couple of years, because you do feel that you have to explain it or carry it or unpack it for yourself even. Like, that is exhausting work. I wonder, Zoya, what are things that you lean on? You do wellness, you are a cook. What are things that you draw on from your Iranian American identity that are giving you comfort right now?
You know what? Saffron. Saffron is literally a proven antidepressant. It's good for anxiety, low specs. It's expensive, but all the good things in life are. Saffron is a superfood. And I have tea with saffron very often, a lot of walks, and a lot of discourse. I try to engage in a lot of discourse. This can apply for any single topic online, but I'm really seeing, as time continues, this lack of discourse, this lack of interest in hearing any opinion that is different than yours. A lot of like, oh, you said this or didn't say this, unfollow. And that's really unfortunate. Not that I care about the unfollow, but it's more just like, you don't want to hear anything other than the thing that you're wanting to hear. And this is why I specifically do not make charged political statements. One, because I'm just, that's not me. Second of all, nobody actually wants to hear what I want to say. They just want to make sure that they're hearing me say the words they want to hear. Different. And that is a massive expectation of content creators online. In a lot of my viral videos, I request that people really look towards trusted sources and trained journalists for specific political information. It's really okay to get a lot of your cultural information from me, but I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I am a complete expert, even though I know more than 98% of people in this country about this particular conflict. I'm still not going to call myself an expert. And I'd be very wary of people who quickly call themselves an expert without the proper background. And people don't seem to want to know that, because if that expert or anybody is saying the things that they enjoy hearing, they're all in. And a lot of other Iranian American content creators I know have really felt this thing, because within the diaspora, even because there's a split on what people want to happen.
Right.
even this formerly very unified front has been attacking people like me or other content creators because we are or are not saying the thing that they really want to hear everyone say. And that's really dangerous. That's really unfortunate.
Yeah.
Because this is much bigger than someone making a small statement or someone having an opinion on what side it should go on.
Yeah. That sounds exhausting.
Yeah.
Tracy, do you want to give our last question, and then we'll ask Zoya where we can find her and
Well, yeah. I mean, my last question is, how did you get the name The Fruit Peeler?
I never used to post online content. My now wife, girlfriend at the time, has been in digital media, Alex Traeger, for a decade and was already quite.
Oh, I know Alex. Zoya, we've met.
I was actually wondering if we've met via like Matilda and stuff. Yeah, I was like, as soon as I look you up, I was like, we have a lot of common people. I was like, we must have met.
Yeah, we met at the Glad Christmas party in 2024.
Right. Okay. I was either that or we dated and we forgot. Right. So I was like, trying to.
I mean, I think I would have remembered. You have a cousin.
Yeah. That sounds right. I was wondering that. Sorry. The question.
How did you name the Fruit Peeler?
Hey. Okay. The Fruit Peeler. So Alex kept asking me to post content online. I kept saying, no, thank you. I have no interest. One day, as she is looking for an apple peeler to post to cook a Thanksgiving dish, I was just so upset. And I was like, why would you ask that? I literally am a fruit peeler. I can just do it with a little paring knife. And so I just happened to prop up my phone and record myself doing it. And I'm so upset in the video and I look like shit. But literally, I'm just like, my girlfriend has asked for an apple peeler. I'm Persian. I am an apple peeler. And I'm just spiralizing it the whole time as I'm speaking. It's a skill that's very unique to a lot of Persians, honestly.
Oh, interesting.
People who eat mass amounts of fruit are really good.
They're
Obviously. And in the story, which was really I just blubbered it out. There were so many things that I hit on now that I dissect this video that would then quickly, within a day or two, go on to be viewed 20 plus million times. I'm cutting the apple and I'm talking about how I have a girlfriend, first of all, so I'm gay, but I'm Persian and Persians eat a lot of fruit because you grow up eating a lot of fruit. And this quick little story of a family story, put down my phone. By the time I picked it up a couple hours later, it already hit the low millions. So that went so viral. People saying, can you peel other fruits? I said, I could peel any fruit. So then orange. Next day, I peel an orange, millions of views. So I went through the whole thing and I would always tell stories that were about either family or relationship, just always quick clips around, less than a minute while peeling a fruit, which again is just a skill I happen to have. And that became the big blow up of becoming the internet's fruit peeler. And truthfully, it's mostly just a way to get stories across. But a lot of people have told me that they learned how to peel a mango or orange or whatever because of me. And I appreciate that because people are not eating enough fruit and not getting enough fiber.
Yeah. And like, yeah, I do too. So where can people find you? You have a book coming out. Where can people find you?
My Instagram is at Zoya Roya. My TikTok is the Zoya Roya, and then Zoya Roya on YouTube. And I post a lot of short form. The book's coming out in a couple months, so I don't have a lot of details on that yet. But what I can share is that it is a really cool guidebook on how to navigate being queer and Middle Eastern. I am putting this out as a resource. I am going to make it digital so that people who are closeted can download it safely. I'm also going to make it completely free because I don't want anyone to not be able to access it or worry about anything showing up on a credit card charge. And I'm just really trying to just have this be a resource for people who really need it. And that will be before June.
That's incredible. Thank you for doing that.
Thank you, of course.
Thank you for your work and sending your family peace and love and like some peace. And thank you so much for being here today, Zoya. It was so nice to meet you.
That's so kind of you guys. Thank you guys. Take care.
Nice
Bye.
to see you again.
Wow, what a smart delight.
Lovely.
Yeah.
That was really nice. Yeah.
Also, that's so funny that you guys knew one another.
It's a small gay world.
I know our friend Anthony V, who watches this show often.
Said
Small game
small
world.
world, yes.
Small world. Tracy, what's having a moment for you this week?
You know what? Hanging out with LGBTQ plus people in massive amounts, because I was at 3 events this week. I was at our Gallica, Gay and Lesbian Critics Association toast on Tuesday. Wednesday, I was at the GLAAD Honors honoring Black and Brown LGBTQ plus artists. And then last night, like the full GLAAD Awards. So I have been just in rooms with queer, fabulous people, the best dressed, the warmest, the funniest. And yeah, that's having a moment for me. Community.
Yeah. I feel like especially in the queer community right now, it must feel really good to be loud and like get to get the flowers, you know.
Yeah,
So
there is that, but there's also, you know, Laverne Cox delivered like a fiery speech last night, you know, like, yes, let's celebrate ourselves and we must have queer joy, but we need to fight and hold the line and not ever kind of relax at this point. We've got to fight these people out.
Yeah. Actually, I have a question for you. What can, you know, I'm not queer, but I have queer people have brought me so much joy and so much knowledge. And so like, what can an ally do right now? I actually hate the word ally, to be honest, but what can a friend of queer folks do right now to take a little of the burden off?
You know, be outspoken, talk to, when people say casual crap about like Gavin Newsom, I'm just like,
yeah, dude.
Like over Gavin Newsom. And my friends are like, well, he might be the only one who can get elected. And I'm like, but he's throwing trans and non-binary people under the bus left and right lately. I mean, I don't want to vote for that person.
We have 2 years to tell him that's unacceptable. You know what I mean? Like, let's not pretend that this Patrick Bateman looking dude is the only option. You know?
Patrick Bateman.
Right?
So yes, I think allies need to be outspoken and not allow casual conversation about, well, you know, it's complicated, trans women in sports. It's not complicated.
It's not.
The science does not bear out. It's a lie. Like, learn about it, fight back, and kind of talk about it. Like, sorry, I'm still not awake. But like, fight back against these narratives that are lies.
Yeah.
And especially around trans folks. They're not the problem in women's bathrooms. I'll tell you, I have
never
been
once.
No.
I've had infinite issues with men in the world. Never once has a trans woman made me feel unsafe.
No,
anecdotal evidence, but in my personal life, like,
yeah, me too. I've had men in, like, I was once in Italy, across from the Vatican of all places, and there was a bathroom like where one way was the men's, one way was the women's room, but it was like all converging. And this old man tried to feel me up, and I was like,
"I'm so sorry that happened, but doesn't surprise me."
It was not a trans woman. You know, it's never been that. It's again, it's the I know you are, but what am I? It's these men deflecting, right?
100%.
They're the monsters, so they have to scapegoat somebody else.
Yeah.
So I think allies need to speak up when you hear things. I mean, obviously you are doing this. Meredith is doing this. You know, let your queer friends know that you're there for them. And if they, you know, need to have a phone call or a coffee or something, that you're there. But I think the most important thing is voting out people who are anti-LGBTQ and talking about it, because a lot of these people, and there are a lot of people on the left too, who feel emboldened to casually say garbage, especially about trans people.
I think that you know, one of the things that heartened me about the special elections where Mamdani and Abigail Spanberger, like those people were all elected, was look at that. We elected Democrats and none of them made it part of their campaign to throw trans people under the bus. I think there was this imagination for a minute that it was like, oh, if you want to be elected, you have to, you know, be part of the group of people pushing back on trans people. And I simply don't think that is true. I just don't think it's true. Yeah.
It isn't. It isn't. And I mean, in the cover up of the Epstein files, those are the people we should be worried about.
Yeah, right?
People are
Like,
trying to
who's the
live their
problem?
lives. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Trans people just want to live. They just want to be able to exist and live and be joyful. Like,
Yeah.
leave them alone.
It's people
wild.
alone. Yeah. I know the way that I always sort of think about it, and I think the reason why I have complicated feelings about the word ally is I'm like, we all exist on a spectrum. And it's like, so if they're coming for trans women, like I'm, as a childless older, like I am 2 steps removed from not being allowed to be in the category of woman from, like weird, like it all ends up, nobody should be targeted for their freedoms. Thank you, Anthony V. Anthony V is a real one because Anthony V disagrees with us on all sorts of things, but hangs around for the conversation, and we appreciate that. So maybe Anthony V.
Hi, Anthony. Well, that's Laverne Cox was actually saying that, Rebecca, last night, that everything that is happening to trans women will eventually happen to all women.
Yes. And the same with Black and brown folks is like Black and brown folks have been talking about what police do. Let's not be surprised that ICE is taking on civil, it is a spectrum and it is, you are on that spectrum. So anyways, before we go, what's having a moment for me is Meredith will be back on Tuesday, and then we will be in studio throughout the month of March. The moment is scaling up. We're so excited. Like we just have like a family of people here now, including our friend Tracy Gilchrist, who I'm so grateful for being here today. It made it so much more of a robust conversation. Tracy, where can everybody find you?
I am at Tracy E Gilchrist, so TracyEGilchrist. I on TikTok, Instagram. I still have a Facebook. I heard Facebook's back.
I heard that too. From
a bunch of influencers. I'm on Threads, but I mean that platform confuses me. But I'm primarily on Instagram. And please subscribe, listen to Holding Space with Tracy E Gilchrist podcast wherever you get your podcasts.
She's an incredible guest. She's a fantastic interviewer, and we're so grateful for her being here. Thank you to our moment viewers. Thank you to Anthony V. Thank you to Zoya. We will be back on Tuesday.
Yeah, thanks for having me.